today, right? They continue to experience wage disparities that make it harder for them to afford housing. And so they're more likely to need to share housing costs, right, than a white household. So they are impacted, right? So when we talk about equity, is it equitable for us to have different goals for apartments versus homes when homes are twice the size, right? Those are the kinds of things we were getting at with those goals in that charter.
And so Denver, Safe and Sound Denver would point to the 2010 zoning change that implemented the Denver zoning code and how that applies to 75% of the city. And they would say that that was implemented in 2010, and if you were to call this background that we're looking at, racist and inequitable, that would be sort of an indictment of the city council that implemented that 2010 Denver zoning code. So why is it that only now, almost a decade later, we're implementing these changes into that 2010 zoning code?
It's a great question. You know, the 2010 zoning code update happened before my time on the city council, and it was a sweeping change. And folks felt like, just like today, some people thought, oh, it's too long, it's too much. It was changing density in areas along transit corridors, for example. It was modernizing the forms of houses that could be built to kind of be more modern. There were so many things in it. They didn't tackle everything. The sections of the code that we're talking about today, that 2F would take away, those sections of the code that we changed, they dated back to the 1980s on the residential care side, and they dated back to the 1950s on the occupancy limit on the group living side. So we just basically, in 2010, the city just copied that language from the old code and carried it over into the new code, knowing that it needed to be dealt with later, but feeling like they got as much as they could done in that big scope.